Everyone thinks they understand how evil works, until a case comes along that completely breaks that illusion. A young woman is found in the back of a car, brutally attacked, unrecognizable, gone. Her family is already grieving. Her town is already pointing fingers. The internet has already chosen a killer. And then something impossible happens. She's seen alive, walking around like nothing ever happened. If you enjoy deep, disturbing true stories that make you question reality, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. It helps more people find these stories, and I want to hear what you think as this unfolds, because this case only gets stranger. Because if she's alive, then who was the woman in that car? That single question turns everything upside down. Matteo didn't know he was about to walk straight into the middle of it. He was just driving. Nothing special. Just another quiet road in Germany, passing through small towns where everything feels predictable. The kind of place where people know each other, where routines don't change, where nothing unusual ever seems to happen. Until it does. As he and his friend drove past a small pizza shop, Matteo glanced out the window for less than a second. That was all it took. His brain didn't even process what he saw, but his body did. He slammed the brakes so hard the car jolted forward violently, his friend nearly smashing into the dashboard. "What are you doing?" his friend shouted. But Matteo didn't answer. He was staring. Standing outside the pizzeria was a young woman. Long dark hair. Pale face. Wide eyes that didn't look calm, they looked alert, almost fearful, like she was constantly scanning her surroundings. She didn't look like someone waiting for food. She looked like someone who didn't belong there. But that wasn't what made Matteo freeze. What made him freeze was recognition. Because that face, that hair, that presence, it matched someone he had already heard about. Someone who wasn't supposed to be standing there. Someone who was supposed to be dead. Without thinking, Matteo spun the car around, pulled into the parking lot, and jumped out. His heart was racing now, his thoughts catching up to what his instincts had already decided. He walked straight toward her. She turned to face him. For a moment, neither of them spoke. It was just silence, heavy, uncomfortable silence. And then Matteo said the only thing his brain could form. "Are you dead?" Even as the words left his mouth, they sounded ridiculous. The girl stared at him, confused. I don't know," she said quietly. And then she turned and ran. Not a casual walk. Not hesitation. She ran. Matteo stood there for a second, trying to process what had just happened. But deep down, he already knew, this wasn't a coincidence. This wasn't a lookalike. This wasn't a misunderstanding. Something was very, very wrong. Because the girl he just spoke to wasn't just anyone. She was the girl everyone believed had been murdered. He rushed back into his car, adrenaline still flooding his system. If she was alive, then everything people believed was wrong. And that meant something far worse. Somewhere, someone else was dead. Before the truth had time to catch up, the story had already spread. The body found in the car was believed to be Sherry. And the suspect? Rowan. Her ex-husband. To the town, it made perfect sense. They didn't need evidence. They didn't need confirmation. They had a narrative, and they were ready to believe it. Their relationship had been messy. Arguments. Conflict. Tension that everyone knew about. So when Sherry didn't come home and her car was found with a body inside, people connected the dots instantly. They went online. They started posting. They tagged Rowan. They accused him directly, publicly, aggressively. Some even said they knew he was guilty before the police did. That's how fast judgment happens. And that's how Rowan found himself sitting in a gray interrogation room, facing investigators while the world outside had already decided who he was. He hadn't been dragged in. He came voluntarily. But that didn't make it easier. The room was tight. The table small. Officers sitting close on both sides, watching every move, every expression, every hesitation. "How are you?" they asked him. A simple question. But his answer wasn't simple. "I feel empty," he said. "Like everything inside me is chaos." For the past 24 hours, his life had completely flipped. Messages flooding his phone. People telling him he was wanted. People warning him that the town was against him. People asking him the same question over and over again. "Did you kill her?" From the outside, the suspicion made sense. The woman found in the car was believed to be his ex-wife. And their history didn't help him. Rowan and Sherry had met years earlier in a moment that felt almost cinematic. A subway station. A glance. A connection that felt immediate. He remembered her beauty, the way she looked, the way that moment stayed with him. But relationships don't stay in that moment forever. Over time, things changed. Arguments became common. Tension built up. Trust broke down. Rowan would later describe the relationship as something that slowly drained him, something that made him feel like he was losing himself piece by piece. So when Sherry's parents found that car, and found that body, they didn't hesitate. They believed it was her. And they believed Rowan had something to do with it. That night, Sherry had told them she was going to see him. Hours passed. She didn't return. She didn't answer her phone. Anxiety turned into fear. They got into their car and drove the route she would have taken. And then they saw it. Her Mercedes. Parked on a quiet residential street. They got out. The front seats were empty. But when they looked into the back, everything changed. A woman was lying there. Long dark hair. Body stretched across the seat. Not moving. They started banging on the window. Shouting. Trying to open the doors. Locked. The car wouldn't open. Panic took over instantly. Neighbors came outside. Some annoyed at first. Until they realized something serious was happening. Then everything turned chaotic. People trying to help. Someone calling emergency services. Others trying to break the glass. When police arrived, they smashed the window and opened the car. They pulled the woman out. And in that moment, hope disappeared. The injuries were severe. Brutal. The kind that made it difficult to even look, let alone identify who she was. But because it was Sherry's car. Because the hair matched. Because the body size seemed similar. Everyone believed it was her. Her parents believed it. The town believed it. And her father said the name out loud. Rowan. That accusation spread instantly. Before confirmation. Before evidence. Before truth. So Rowan sat there, explaining everything, his relationship, the fights, the tension, the breakdown. And then, after hours of questioning, everything changed with one sentence. "She's alive." The room shifted. Rowan didn't understand. Alive? How? They found her. They saw her. But now there was proof. Sherry had been spotted. Seen on camera. Walking around. The woman everyone believed was dead, wasn't dead at all. And that meant the story everyone believed was completely wrong. Because if Sherry was alive, then someone else had been killed. And that someone had been placed in her car, to be mistaken for her. Investigators began working backward. The woman in the car was eventually identified. Her name was Kata. She had nothing to do with Sherry. No connection. No shared history. No reason to be part of this. Except one thing. Sherry believed they looked alike. And that belief changed everything. Because in the weeks leading up to the murder, Sherry had been searching. Scrolling. Messaging. Reaching out to multiple women who had similar features. Not identical. But close enough. She created fake opportunities. Fake offers. Fake reasons to meet. A music video. A beauty treatment. Something simple. Something harmless. Something believable. Kata responded. She agreed to meet. She trusted the situation. And that trust led her into a car, with people who had already decided her fate. What happened next wasn't random. It wasn't impulsive. It was the result of a plan that, no matter how flawed, had one goal. Replace her. Make her become the body that everyone would believe was Sherry. So that Sherry could walk away. Free. Or at least, that was the idea. But the reality didn't unfold the way it was supposed to. Because instead of disappearing, Sherry stayed. She moved around town. She was seen. She was questioned. And eventually, she was caught. And that's what makes this case even more disturbing. Because it wasn't just about violence. It was about identity. It was about someone deciding that another human being could be used as a substitute. That someone else's life could be taken, just to escape their own. And by the time the truth came out, Kata was already gone. And nothing could undo that. And that's what makes this story so haunting. Not just the brutality. Not just the deception. But the idea behind it. That someone believed another human being could simply take their place. That a life could be swapped. That identity could be replaced. If this story made you think, shocked you, or changed how you see things, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let me know your thoughts below. Because this is one of those cases where the more you think about it, the more unsettling it becomes.